the lyrics, the song, the rapping, the singing, the whole package. Kev Choice, Jennifer Johns, our Agape International House Band, and you. But without you absorbing, responding, embracing, it's a whole different ball game. So we welcome you as we spread love all around the world. And that's our mission here at Agape. The name Agape means unconditional love. And we're seeking to bring that song into reality. God's got the whole world in his hands. We're seeking to embrace the entire globe with a dynamic love ethic that transcends greed and selfishness, transcends narcissism, egocentricity, so that individuals are in a vast sea of love that births the highest aspect of their own life, of which there is divinity within all of us. I welcome you today. I want you to consider yourself for a moment. I want you to just consider, as you consider yourself, release any sense of lack or limitation or not being enough for a moment. If you want to pick it back up later, you have free choice to do that. But just in this instant, I want you to just stop. I want you to place your hand over your heart. And I want you to make a vow with excellence. I want you to take a vow of joy. I want you to take a vow of peace. I want you to take a vow that you become willing to see yourself the way God sees you. This presence that is everywhere in its fullness reveals itself as the all-seeing eye of Horus. I want you to understand what is written when it says, God's eyes are too pure to behold iniquity, that when God looks into the mirror of your soul, God sees itself and the full potentiality of it becoming more you. I want you to just release for a moment anybody's opinion of you, anything that's ever been said about you, and just breathe into the awareness that your life is so precious. Your life is so divine. Do not judge yourself or compare yourself with anybody else on the path. Just embrace yourself right where you are right now. Full of potential, possibility, and infinite opportunities. Let go of the superstitious thought that says that opportunity only knocks once. That is a lie. Opportunity is knocking perpetually because we are worshiping a presence that is never in absence. Here, now. And as you are embracing yourself, capital S, as you are embracing yourself as an emanation of the Most High God and becoming willing to see yourself the way God sees you, you're willing to eliminate, dissolve, let go of anything that would hinder, delay, obstruct, deny the fullness of life from moving through you. You're letting go. You're embracing the art form of letting go right now, that you may solely identify yourself as a luminous being. As you open your eyes, if you desire to, begin to look around your room that you're in, but see it differently. See it from a different positionality. Instead of seeing it from the compartmentalized self, begin to see from your inner eye, using the outer eye, that all around you is a field of joy and of love and of harmony. That you're walking in this field of absolute opportunity, possibility, potential. That you're living in this dynamic right now. Give yourself permission to feel into that. And in so doing, you're feeling into what has been the theme of this month. When losing is really winning, the art of letting go. You've heard me bring that into the beginning, at the beginning of the month. You've heard iterations of it through Reverend Jason Mitchell, through Reverend Susie Lula. You're feeling into this teaching that when losing is really winning. You felt the frequency and the vibration of Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christ, saying in substance that they who would save their life will lose it. Those that would save their little viewpoint of themselves, their over-identification with personality. Those that would try to save their little life will lose it. But if you lose your life for my sake, for the sake of the Christ presence that is within you, then there is life eternal. There's the unfolding life that is forever and forever and forever unfolding, world without end, glory after glory. So that you're being reminded today in this month that all gain, it really comes from a loss. That all spiritual growth, development, and unfoldment is about letting go of something and allowing that which is here, that which is impervious to time and space, to show itself. So you are letting go of the vows that you have taken throughout the course of your life from the lesser versions of yourself. There have been iterations of yourself that came into manifestation because they needed to at that time. You may have gone through some trauma or some drama and you needed to protect yourself. You needed to defend yourself. You needed to cope with circumstances that were debilitating or hurtful. So you had to develop certain personality structures to move through life. And in so doing, you may have taken vows from that limited perception. You may have vowed to be detached from your heart. You may have detached yourself from playing full out because you didn't want to be hurt. You may have detached yourself from parts of yourself that were waiting in the wings, so to speak, to express themselves. But today, under the vibration of the art of letting go, under the vibration of when losing is really winning, you are releasing the vows and releasing your over-identification with the previous iterations of yourself so that you can take a new vow today. That you can vow to hold hands with excellence. You can vow to hold hands with peace and love. You can vow to hold hands with strength and vitality and vigor. You can vow to hold hands with dynamic health and wholeness and well-being, which are states of consciousness before they manifest. Remember, signs follow consciousness. They follow states. So you are no longer in this particular precise second holding on and trying to save your little life. Nope. You're opening up to the art of letting go. You're letting go of anxiety, holding on to peace. You're letting go of anxiousness, holding on to an inner joy. You're letting go of resentment and holding on to that forgiving vibration that can move through you. You're letting go. So that which is intrinsic within you can come forth and express itself and play like never before. Indeed, you're coming into being a soulful artist of your own inner being. The art of letting go. Remember that all 100, this is 100%, it's not 99.9. 100% of spiritual growth, development, and unfolded, though the mind would look upon as something that you're gaining, it's really something that you're letting go of. Letting go of a misperception of yourself. You're letting go of ideation that's not true. You're letting go of opinions, beliefs. You're letting go of perceptions, letting go of over-identification with aspects of yourself that were there as temporary structures to hold you together. And in the process of letting go, you hear Jesus saying, who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to their stature. You can't add anything to this. With the presence of God, with the presence of God allow to emerge from God, it's perfect in every way. Contained every single aspect of the presence. So you cannot gain anything. You can't put anything, can't add anything to it. But you can reveal it. You can let it shine. And so today, you're coming to an understanding that losing The apparent loss is really winning, you see. Remember, win, win, win. Forget everything else. Win, win, win. All that begins with letting go. So that as I'm speaking to you today, and I'll come back to this, begin to consider and let it pop into your awareness. Don't go run and look for it right now, but just see what comes up. What are you willing to let go of today? What are you willing to, what aspect no longer serves you? What opinion? What conversation? What habit doesn't serve you anymore? And it may just flow into your awareness that you're willing to let that go so that there'll be more spaciousness in your being because the presence of God is already here. Then you'll understand the topic of today, which is how low can you go? Doesn't matter. God is there. You see, God is not merely the God of the mountaintop peak experience, flow motion. God is not merely the God of bliss and ecstasy. God is the God of the valley as well. The presence of God does not come and go. Whether you're having a valley experience or whether you're having a mountaintop experience. As a matter of fact, most people are not walking around in a mountaintop experience. They're walking around in life seeking to navigate through certain circumstances and situations. Humanity is seeking to navigate through all manner of things that have manifested in the world politically and otherwise, and not necessarily living every single moment of one's life at this peak experience, you see. But God is the God of valley as well. And so when we find ourselves in that valley of despair, we find ourselves in the valley of anxiousness, in the valley of dis-ease, the valley of fear. Oftentimes that comes from, sometimes you're doing your spiritual work, you think nothing's happening in your life. You're praying and meditating and studying and having fellowship on a regular basis, and it feels like nothing is happening, and then suddenly things seem to get worse. And oftentimes, what's really going on there is that your previous personality structures and substructures have been interrupted by an insight. And the worlds that they have built, coping, defending, compulsive behaviors, ways that we've had to navigate through the world, it starts to fall apart. And there's a feeling of anxiety. I call it human interruptus. That human consciousness is being interrupted. But the world that's been built is shaking. And it feels like the world's coming to an end. It feels like everything is for lost. And it is. That particular paradigm is dying. That particular world is dying. And the newness of your life is about to be uncovered. But in that in-between space, feels like you're walking through the valley. And so you have to begin to be aware that you're surrounded by a womb of ooziness. Dark, infinite potential that's unmanifest good, waiting to take shape based on your letting go, based on your coming to an understanding. And I know it's difficult. I'm not saying this is an easy thing. This is why we call it practice, you see. That when you're walking through that and you hear the 191 Psalm talking about, even if you make your bed in hell, I am there. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee, and the night shines as the day. This is the mystical viewpoint from the Spirit of God, that the darkness and the light are both the same. One's unmanifest ooziness containing infinite potential. One's the manifest filaments of holding more light and bringing things into manifestation. But to the presence of God, both are alike, and in some way, somehow, as you go into your spiritual practice, you feel the ooziness of infinite potential trying to come through. And you give up resistance. And you don't ask, how are things going to change? Instead, Instead of asking how, you do your best to give up resistance to that which is and manifest and that which is trying to happen, because we live in a progressive universe, so something is always unfolding, something is always happening, the presence of God is always shining, and you're giving up resistance to it. So in this time in which we're living, Scripture would say the whole world is groaning. The whole world groaneth up to now. That the whole world is groaning. There's a dynamic global brain that's connected that has been hijacked by the old paradigm that's seductive and intimidating and provocative to keep people in fear and doubt and worry all of the time. The whole world is groaning until now. Until a word is spoken, shattering the illusion of separation. You see. And so, people are asking all kinds of immature questions. And you want to begin to ask questions that lead you into letting go of resistance and coming into the awareness that that the darkness is shining as light. The infinite potential is shining as the activated potential. The light and the dark are both the light to the presence of God. And so people ask, did you get vaccinated? You got vaccinated. Wrong question. That question is like fourth or fifth down the line. That's political stuff. The question is, how do you stay healthy? That's the question you want to ask. How do I stay healthy? If you ask, how do I stay healthy? The Spirit of the living God is going to pull you into prayer. I'm not talking about begging and beseeching a reluctant deed to come down and help you. I'm talking going to pull you into prayer where you're having an insight into your oneness with the presence of God that becomes a state of consciousness that makes you impervious to all manner of things that go bump in the night. You go into prayer, you go into meditation, you begin to be guided about your exercise, you begin to be guided about your nutrition, you begin to be guided about your supplements, your D, your C, your zinc, your enzymes, you be guided about how to stay healthy. For such a time as this, you see. During this time in which society is mimicking political theater. Mimicking political theater. It's called political theater for a reason. People fighting each other, we're in the same club. Everybody's eating from the same trough of whoever's donating to their political campaigns. And so a world that's unconscious is mimicking political theater, divisiveness, polarity. Now go back a few weeks ago when I was teaching you about state and stage. And I brought forth the truth that, there are stages of unfoldment that we go through, but you must be able to hold a particular state of consciousness in order for that stage to manifest perfectly so it's not a miscarriage. You see, it's actually birth to the next stage of your unfoldment, but you have to be able to hold the state. It can't be iffy, you see. And so we're seeking to hold the state of unconditional love, of perfect peace, and divine joy, independent of a circumstance. Now, if you have a happiness based on circumstance, that's temporary at best because circumstances change. That's not the peace that passes human understanding. That comes from having a direct contact with the presence of God, developing a state of consciousness where your intrinsic joy and peace and wholeness is active in you, even as the world is going through changes, even as your personal world is going through changes. That's the kind of faith you want. So during this particular time in which the whole world groaneth unto now, individuals are mimicking political theater. You want to ask the question, how can I love those that I disagree with? How can I stay in communion with? How can I stay in compassion for? How can I stay in kindness? How can I stay in prayer? How can I stay in patience? I don't have to agree with everybody. I'm not talking about agreeing with each other's positions, because just as two wrongs don't make a right, two rights don't make a right either. There's only one truth, capital T, God, you see. But it means that you're not going to allow yourself to be pulled into hating someone that disagrees with you and see things differently. Now, if you can work on yourself and hold the state, and if we can hold the state, then the stage of unfoldment for humanity will happen. But it's not going to unfold on a disparate state. It's not going to unfold on a state of confusion. It's not going to unfold in a state of fear, doubt, worry, hate, resentment. You have a precious life. And this life is very, very precious. And it can't afford to be weighed down by a chip on your shoulder. You see? And so you ask, how can I stay in compassion for individuals that I may not necessarily agree with, so that the potential of dialogue can occur, so the potential of exchange of ideas can occur, so for the potential for everybody to grow can occur, so that the two rights don't make a right. There is a wider, transcended truth that's seeking to be born, independent of our rights. I'm not talking about our civil rights. I'm talking about our perception of what we think is right. And then we have to ask this question in the midst of whatever's going on in our life. We have to ask, how can I have a closer connection with the presence of God? Sounds simple, but the reason why it's not so simple, because when you're in the valley, you really want whatever it is that's oppressing you at that moment to go away. You don't want it to be there. It shouldn't be here. God, why is this happening to me? Why? What did I do to cause this? You're down in the valley asking futile questions. What did I do? Why me? Why is this happening? I want it to stop. Let it go away. You're in resistance to the isness. But if you say, I want a realization of my oneness with God. That's what I want. Now you're coming into an understanding of what happened to Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was suffering with tuberculosis. And he went to the doctor, no avail. He tried all manner of different nutritional aspects. He did everything he was supposed to. He went to Emma Curtis Hopkins to get prayer work. Could not get rid of the tuberculosis. His body was tired and wasting. And finally, in a fit of just letting go, he said, God, I do not care if I ever get rid of tuberculosis. What I want is a closer walk with you. I want my connection with the presence of God. Shortly after that, he was healed. The resistance to tuberculosis and the resistance to what was happening in his life dissolved. And there was a spiritual openness that took place because he wanted the presence of God more than he wanted a change of circumstance. He came to a state that then revealed a state of health and well-being in his life. You want to ask that question. And yes, what happens is the things that you really want, or things that you really don't want, they become preferences rather than I'm not going to be happy until. You prefer something. You prefer this in your life rather than that. You prefer that in your life rather than this. But what you really want is your connection, conscious. You're already connected. You want conscious connection. And then the whole world groaneth, your little world groaneth until now. An opening takes place. And then you begin to grow into a peace that passes understanding, because the peace is not built on what you want or don't want. Your peace is intrinsic to you. And your joy is intrinsic. You've released the obstacles in your soul so that joy can come through. That's why Maya Angelou said, let me tell you why the caged bird sings. You see? Something happens. And then, what else happens because of that? You hold that state long enough, and then even the external world begins to change, because the external world is a condensation, it's coagulation of previously held points of view and thought forms. The external world is an artifact of a previously held point of view. So as you're saying, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, whatever's going on, whatever's happening, yes, I prefer this over that. But whatever's happening, what I really, really, really want is my conscious connection with the divine presence. And then there's a freedom. Resistance dissolves itself within you. The presence of God becomes more real to you. It's no longer merely a belief system. It's like Job, you're able to say, I've heard about you through the hearing of my ears. But now, I can't even, wordless. And he was in the valley. And the valley was in him. How low can you go? Doesn't matter. God's there. If you make your bed in hell, lo, I'm with you. In heaven, lo, I'm with you. Presence. And so as I initiated this train of thought at the beginning, what are you willing to let go of? Or you don't have to make it up. You can just see what emerges. What are you willing to let go of? You remember the story of the gentleman going to the doctor. And the doctor said, you're going to have to give up smoking or I can't help you. The man said, I don't smoke. Never have. You're going to have to give up drinking. I don't drink. You're going to have to give up carousing and running around all night, partying all through the wee hours of the morning. He said, I don't do that. He said, listen, young man, you're going to have to give up something or I can't help you. That's what the universe is saying. You got to give up something. You see? So you just ask, what am I ready to let go of here? What perception, what point of view, what opinion, what conversation, so that I can let go of anxiousness, that my vow around that of worry and anxiousness, separate. I can let go and take a vow of a higher order. And letting go of all the promises and vows that I took as a lesser version of myself. They were good for that person at that time. But today, I want to make a vow for excellence and beauty and love and harmony and wholeness from a much more mature vantage point. You see. And then perhaps you might be saying to yourself 2 or 3 years from now, even this iteration of yourself, you may have to let go of something you're holding on to right now as your awareness keeps expanding. But today, this second, what are you ready to let go of? What no longer serves you? Now remember, you don't have to make anything happen. You have to get out of the way so that which is happening can happen through and as you. The presence, that's never an absence. There's a lot happening here. It wants to happen through you. Will you let it? Will you allow it? Will you say yes to it? Will you embrace it? Come what may. You got to put in the come what may, because the world that you have built from your limited perception, they're going to change. So just feel into that with me. Take a deep inhalation. Release. Deep inhalation. Deep, pure. Sustain at the apex. Feel into your expanded nature. Now, as we did in the beginning, put your hand over your heart, left hand up, and say after me, I enthusiastically swear and take a vow to hold hands with excellence, to hold hands with a dynamic peace, a self-love and appreciation, and a feeling tone that all of my needs are met. I promise, to the best of my ability, to maintain this state of consciousness, that my eternally new life may emerge. Come what may. I let go and I let God. Whew. Come what may. When losing is really winning. The art of letting go. How low can you go? Doesn't matter. God's there. Ask. How can I be closer to the presence of God consciously? How can I have that revelation of my oneness with the Spirit? I want this more than anything. Try it on for size. Try that on. See what happens. Sometimes you just gotta try it on. Just try it on before you buy it. Just see what it feels like to be in a certain state. You know, I've told this before, and we're gonna get out of here. We gotta dance. We gotta pray. But one of our practitioners was in between a long period of unemployment, and so her money was funny, as they say. So she decides to go window shopping down in Rodeo. Not rodeo. Anyway, she sees this beautiful outfit in the window with all of these, accessories. She knew she couldn't afford it, but she was just looking at it. And the salesperson came on and said, "You look really good in that. You should come try it on." And she was saying, no, I really can't. She said, "Come on, there's no harm in you trying it on." So she went in and she tried it on, the whole thing, the dress, the shoes, the whole deal. She was looking at herself in the mirror. And at that precise moment, Flip Wilson saw her and said, "Oh, I'm paying for this." Pulled out his credit card and bought the whole thing for her, paid for it, and left. Why? Because she tried it on. She tried it on. I want you to just try on the state. Just move yourself into a state of peace, not subject to a circumstance. Love, not subject to circumstance. Sense of well-being. Just try it on. Hold the state for a while. You'll give birth to another stage of your own unfolding. This is what I know for sure. So right now, as you're taking what you're letting go. Close your eyes for a moment. Just take, it could be one thing. It could be one thing. It could be a minor to you. But you know what? Have you ever had a small pebble in your shoe? It was a little tiny pebble, but it disturbed your walking. You may say it was a little tiny pebble, but when you got rid of it, it was like, oh my God, that was great to get that pebble out of my shoe. So you may think whatever it is you're letting go is little, but it's not. It's creating obstacle, hindrance. So just take what you want to let go of, close your eyes, and see the blazing fire of transformation in front of you. And just toss what you're letting go into the fire of transformation. Just toss it. Energy is never created or destroyed, so it's being whatever it was is being transmuted into a different frequency. See that. And then feel the flames, as a dimension of celebration. Burning up the dross, the hindrances, the obstacles, the misperceptions. Burning it up. Celebration, celebration, celebration. Allow yourself to be lifted into the state of celebrating something. Celebrate the feeling tone that all needs are met right now. Even before there's evidence. Remember what I said in the last service. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Because God is presence, never an absence. Feel the vibration of the celebration. Feel it, feel it, feel it. And then to augment that, watch these celebrants dance with the rev. Maria Lorenz and her family from Hawaii. It's family day. 9 o'clock service, we had the Reyes family. Now we have the Lorenz family. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is. Hey, there it is. To be loved by the presence of God. Remember what Reverend Joanne Coleman said a few weeks ago. Torah taught us how to love God, and Jesus came through and taught us how much God loves us. How sweet it is to be loved by the presence of God. Can we love ourselves? Can we hold that space for ourselves? Feel into that. Feel into that. As we begin to move the body a little bit. Come into the frequency of a celebrant. The frequency of one who's hearing the sacred sounds. Hearing the magnificent music of the spheres that's loaded and coded within all aspect of creation. Saying that when you come into this state, there's nothing that can stop you. When you come into this state, everything is for you. And when you come into this state, all things are working together for your good. Feel into that. 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 Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
There you go. Ain't no stopping us now. We're going to keep on till we reach who we are. Woo! Yeah, ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We got it. We got it. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. We got it. One more time. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We got it. We got it. Ain't no stopping us now.
Robinson.
We got the groove.
What you Candace, what you got? Ain't no stopping us.
There's been so many things that held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we got a long, long way to go, and where we end up, I don't know. Maybe don't let nothing hold us back. We gonna put our show together. We gonna polish up our act. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Don't you let nothing stand in your way. I want you to listen to every word we say, everything we say. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the proof. God, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We on the move. Oh yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the proof. God, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know you know someone who has a negative vibe, and when you're trying to make it, they only push you aside. You really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going. They don't know, but we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting the show together. We're punching up our head. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. To let nothing stand in the way. I want y'all to listen to every word we say, every word we say. Ain't no stopping us now. We got through. Ain't no stopping us now.
That's
We
Candace.
on the move.
Candace is moving.
We got it. We got it. Ain't no stopping us now. We on the move. Ain't no. Ain't no. No stopping us now. Ain't no. Ain't no. Ain't no. No stopping us now. Ain't no. No stopping us stopping us now. We got the move. Go ahead, y'all.
It's Candace Robinson, member of Agape. Check out her Instagram. We've moved the body temple. Allow yourself to feel the vibration of ain't no stopping us now. As you're becoming more and more still. Reverend Joanne, come here. Inject into this body, this field, frequency of Aramaic from the Christ. Close that outer eye. Let that body become still, quiet. Feel into this.
Awun Duash Meya Nith Kadash Shmach De Mau Ku Tha Nekwe Seviana Ikana Duash Meya Barth Howlan Lachma Disun kana yamana wash woklan chayo ben ikana daknan shwaken ilhayewe. Ula taklan el nishona ela pasan min bisha. Mito delahi malkutha hayla dish ta el alam almin amen. Amen.
Feel into that frequency. Feel into that. Command ye me these hands. Speak. Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, Lord God Almighty, how great thou art. Everywhere present, vast and limitless, but operating through our awareness as our expanded awareness. I speak from this place that all beings may be free. Free from pain and suffering. Free to reveal their real nature and their real being. This global congregation now embraces the entire planet. God has the whole world in His hands through our awareness right now. Let peace reign supreme. Let love reign supreme. Let joy bubble up all over. Let peace bubble up all over. Let harmonizing prosperity bubble up already and all over as the activity of our awareness. Because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and the cattle on 1,000 hills, which is an analogy, is ours. Abundance is ours. Now, oh, feel it in your bones. Accept the state, assume it, try it on the state. Reverence. Reverence for life. Reverence for nature. Reverence for all the trees. Reverence for the soil, the mountains and the valleys and the rivers and the lakes and the oceans. Reverence for Mother Earth. Reverence. Try it on. Reverence for each other. Whether we agree on a point or not. Reverence for the light of the divine within each other. Oh, try it on. Try it on. Try it on. Something is, that's another word for God. Something told me. Something moved me. Something warned me. Oh, God is something. And so, inside it's saying, I am. It's saying, I am. I am that I am. I am that I am peace. I am that I am love. I am that I am joy. I am that I am prosperity. I am that I am health. I am that I am well-being. I am that I am true happiness. Oh my God, I'm celebrating. I am. Woo, that I am. Beauty. Beauty is a path. Beauty is a path to glorify God. Woo. Oh, help them feel it.
I was inside
Oh, sing it,
your
Jason.
soul all the day.
We're talking about when you're in the valley.
That you appear, my
When that river is rising.
contained your heart. Oh, but
You got to remember God. Not the man in the sky.
This earth we walk.
The earth we walk upon is holy.
Oh, it's holy. The breath,
breath.
You breathe in.
It's the presence of God.
I'm loving you. Oh, but will you remember
When the river is
when
rising.
the river's rising and the seas are not calm,
And the seas are not calm.
and the peace you felt on yesterday, today nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found.
And you pray to be free for your soul to subside. Let me tell you this,
You gotta hold on. You gotta pray. You gotta feel your way back to yourself.